I didn't fail law school. Money did. I was on my way to becoming the first lawyer in my family, carrying not just my own dreams, but the hopes of my parents who had worked their entire lives to give me a chance. But the reality of endless tuition bills, sleepless nights, and minimum wage jobs crushed me harder than any exam ever could. This isn't a story about giving up. It's a story about how I discovered that sometimes survival is worth more than prestige. The cardboard box on my desk looked too small to contain the weight of my dreams. I stuffed my law textbooks inside, casebooks that had cost me hundreds of dollars but now felt useless. A pair of worn sneakers, some wrinkled shirts, and a half-empty notebook joined the pile. Through the dorm window, the Arizona sun was shining bright, almost cruelly cheerful. Down in the courtyard, students were laughing, planning group projects, rushing to class. Meanwhile, I was packing up my life at Arizona State University. At 21, I thought I'd be preparing for a brilliant future in law. Instead, I was preparing to leave, dropping out. Not because I lacked the intelligence or drive, but because I simply couldn't afford to stay. If you rewind the story 2 years, you'd see me as a completely different person. Back then, I was all ambition and hope. I grew up in a small working-class town. My dad was a car mechanic, his hands forever stained with grease. My mom worked long shifts at a grocery store, often coming home with aching feet and tired eyes. Money was always tight. We counted every dollar. But my parents believed in education as the only way out. I was the first in my family to be accepted into a major university. And not just any program, law school. To me, that acceptance letter was golden. I imagined a future where I stood in courtrooms, argued cases, earned a generous salary, and finally bought my parents the comfortable life they deserved. When the envelope from Arizona State University arrived, my mom cried. My dad hugged me and said, "You're going to do what I never could, son." In that moment, I felt 10 feet tall. But dreams are easy when you're sitting in your childhood bedroom. Reality hit me as soon as I moved into my dorm. The room was small, with peeling paint and a heater that rattled all night. Rent was cheaper than an apartment, but still far more than my parents could cover. Tuition fees were monstrous, and on top of that came the infamous law textbooks. Each one was as thick as a brick and cost upwards of $200. Meals quickly became a calculation game. I survived on instant noodles, dollar menu burgers, and sandwiches from the clearance aisle. Proper meals were rare luxuries. By the second month, I noticed my jeans were loose. Not because I was working out, but because I was skipping meals. Classes demanded endless energy. Reading assignments stacked higher than I could finish, and professors reminded us daily that law wasn't for the faint-hearted. I told myself I could push through. That struggle was part of the process. Whenever money came up in student forums or late-night conversations, someone always said the same thing. Just take out a loan. The argument was convincing. Lawyers make good money, people said. Once you're earning 70 or 80 grand a year, paying back $100,000 in debt won't matter. But then, in the same groups, I read horror stories. Former students drowning in six-figure debt, still living paycheck to paycheck years after graduating. Some said they regretted ever starting law school. Each comment dug deeper into my anxiety. My chest tightened every time I thought about shackling myself to debt I might never escape. My parents were already working themselves to the bone. How could I tell them I'd saddled us with more? I made my choice. No loans. Whatever happened, I would not drag myself and my family into that trap. No loans meant one option left: work. I got a part-time job at a fast food restaurant near campus. At first, it seemed manageable. I took orders, flipped burgers, mopped floors. The paychecks barely covered groceries, but at least it was something. The problem was time. My shifts stretched until midnight or later. I came home smelling of grease, hands raw from scrubbing grills. By the time I collapsed onto my bed, I had only a few hours before lectures started again. Law school requires more than attendance. It requires total mental focus. But my brain was fogged with exhaustion. I read cases over and over without absorbing a word. My grades slipped. Professors began to notice. "Ben, your participation has dropped off," one said after class. I nodded, ashamed, too embarrassed to explain I had spent the night cleaning fryers. The more I fell behind, the more I withdrew. When classmates invited me to study groups or weekend outings, I made excuses. The truth was, I didn't have time, money, or energy. I scrolled through social media and saw friends thriving, posting pictures of internships, debating in moot courts, celebrating milestones. I, meanwhile, was eating stale fries in the back of a greasy kitchen. Loneliness crept in like a shadow. I stopped answering texts. I avoided video calls with my parents, angling the camera carefully whenever I did pick up so they couldn't see the bags under my eyes. I told them I was fine. Inside, I was breaking. My health deteriorated quickly. My weight dropped. I caught colds easily. Panic attacks became common. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, thinking about unpaid tuition notices. The email arrived on a Sunday night. Final notice. Tuition payment required to continue enrollment. The number on the screen might as well have been $1 million. I knew I didn't have it. I knew there was no way I could earn it working minimum wage jobs. I closed my laptop and sat in silence. Tears blurred my vision. For months I had convinced myself I could tough it out. But I had reached the edge. I realized something terrifying but true. My mental health mattered more than my grades, more than my pride, more than the illusion I could carry this weight alone. That night, I decided I would drop out. At first, I couldn't bring myself to tell my parents. I dodged their calls. I told myself I'd figure out a way, that I'd go back later. But lies are heavy, and eventually they crush you. One evening, my mom called and wouldn't hang up until I answered. She saw my face, pale, thinner than she remembered, and asked, "Ben, what's going on?" Something inside me broke. The words spilled out. The debt, the job, the exhaustion, the failing grades, the hopelessness. I braced for anger, disappointment, shame. Instead, my mom cried softly. My dad's voice came steady through the phone. "Son, you don't have to destroy yourself for this. If law school isn't the right path now, that's okay. You'll find another way." Their understanding hit me harder than any lecture. All this time, I had been terrified of letting them down, but they only wanted me safe. After withdrawing officially, I felt empty. No more textbooks, no more exams, no more late nights in the library. But slowly, emptiness turned into possibility. My dad suggested I try helping at the garage. At first I resisted. It felt like giving up on everything. But once I started, something unexpected happened. I found satisfaction in fixing cars. There was something grounding about using my hands, solving problems that had clear beginnings and endings. Unlike endless law readings, repairing an engine had visible results. I enrolled in an auto repair training program. Within a year, I earned certifications and landed steady work. For the first time, my paycheck wasn't swallowed instantly by tuition bills. I managed to save a little, even send money home. Now, looking back, I see how naive I was. I thought success had one shape: a law degree, a fancy office, a fat paycheck. But life is wider than that. Dropping out felt like failure at the time, but it wasn't the end. It was a turning point. I learned that college is not the only road to success. What matters is perseverance, adaptability, and health, both mental and physical. I'm still Ben. I'm still my parents' son. I'm still someone who dreams of a better life. But I've learned that sometimes the dream changes shape, and that's okay. When I fix a customer's car and see relief on their face, I feel a quiet pride. It may not be the courtroom glory I once imagined, but it's real, it's honest, and it's mine. If Ben's story touched you, don't forget to hit like and share this video so more people can hear it. What do you think? Should students risk debt to chase their dreams? Or is it better to find another path? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you want more real-life stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next one.